And hello and welcome to anyone just joining in. It's all about push-ups today. Feel free to say hello if you'd like. Otherwise, I guess you can just hang out too. I'm making some notes here on push-up. Excuse me, on push-up progression. So I do hope you enjoy the excellent clicking of my mechanical keyboard. Once again, hello to anyone just joining in. Feel free to say what's up in chat. If push-ups are your thing, that's what the focus of the stream today is on. So that is pretty cool. I have a push-up progression video that I created a while back that I'll probably be updating in the next while, but is still highly relevant, as well as a written list of different push-up progressions that don't exactly correlate to the video. Hey man, how's it going, Truncheon? Otherwise, that's just the path that I took, which will likely be different for everyone else. However, it gives you a place to start. Hope you're doing well. Where to go next? So things good? You keeping well? Oh, well, that's a little annoying, I'm sure. Those headaches, man. I am doing very well. Just kind of resting up, I suppose. Had a nice meal. The running, as of late, has been kicking my ass. Adapting to it and all that. Oh my gosh. Did my first in a while anyway, first 5 mile run a couple nights ago, and since then I've just been stretching and trying to recover as best I can and all that kind of thing. But otherwise, hey man, life's good. No complaints here. I'm sure I could think of some, but there's no point in that. No one would listen. That's funny. Well, that might be true only if they cause the complaints or they're the source. But, I mean, it might be true otherwise. However, I would suspect that if women do in fact like hearing complaints, then maybe that's only true if they cause them. But I don't know. Oh man, one arm kneeling push-ups, those are so hard. I guess starting up that age-old question, I suppose, of there being a problem, and then the man, of course, wants to try and solve that problem, but then the female likely just wants you to help her articulate the problem and flesh it out and understand it, as opposed to just solving it and that whole thing. I guess among the differences of men and women, oh my goodness. I guess that's where it can help to be a good listener. Which I wholeheartedly believe that I am. My listening skills are well practiced. Interesting. I haven't read that book. I remember my mom owning it years and years ago. And I can picture it actually sitting in this closet and back in the house that we were in, and seeing it day after day, just by going to fetch things out of said closet and whatnot. But I never actually picked it up and read it. I've definitely heard of it. It was all the rage for a while. Have you read it? I wonder how that book would go over today if it were written. There are many out there that are trying to minimize or obliterate the differences between men and women.
Dear Diary, today my heart leapt when Agent Scully suggested spontaneous human combustion.
Sisto is now following. Thank you. Oh, really? Just people using it in conversation or citing it within some argument? Oh, nice. Yeah, I guess that was a popular, well, I guess you and I are a small sample size. But I was going to say it was likely popular among mothers at that time. My dad used to read more history and fiction and that kind of thing, so I tended to read what he read, or at least I was influenced by it. I cannot say that this double C variation of thick is something I'm aware of, so I apologize. You might have to fill me in there. Is that just a slick way of typing out thick? No, should I? Maybe I'll look it up. Ah, interesting. Okay. And I suppose I'm looking at the Urban Dictionary. Yes, okay, not the THICC weapon case from Escape from, what is that, Tarkov? Good old Mr. Google coming in clutch. Or is it a Mrs. Google? Who knows? Oh man, maybe I'm missing out then, because I have very little fat in wrong or right places. Go Google? Yes, yeah, okay. I know the Oogle I'm familiar with. I'm actually going to see if I can verify that by actually Google searching it on Google's own Wikipedia page. And maybe that version of events isn't one that they'd like to publicize. And then they came up with one that was, I guess, diluted or a little safer, perhaps. Google, Googol. The Googleplex. All right, come on, give me something with the name here. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here as well. Which sounds reasonable. You know, I would think that the personalities of those that created it favored numbers or were interested in numbers and that kind of stuff, so I can see them coming up with that kind of name. Learn something every day, look at that. How does the shoulder feel? Getting better? No, that's good. It sounded like it was pretty bad when it initially happened, so I guess that's not the case and you're healing fairly rapidly. It's a good idea. Give it a little bit more time, make sure everything's good. Be sure to start off slow and controlled. That way you don't start off in square one again. I'm pretty bad at that, I must say. I went last night and thinking, okay, you know, I'm gonna take it easy, go light, and then I ended up just doing human flag training. Which is not easy by any stretch. But fortunately, I don't have any injuries at the moment that I need to worry about. It was more just trying to recover from, you know, all this new stress and stimuli from running. longer distances than I'm used to. Man, now that's a YouTube hole. It is interesting stuff. I mean, there's so much content out there. It's insane. And I mean, depending on the type of video you watch on serial killers, I mean, I think we've had this discussion before, but the psychological aspects behind it are fascinating. They're really interesting. Like, I think I'd be more interested in a piece that analyzes, you know, their motives, their psyche, why they did things, as opposed to one that just sort of described their crimes. Yeesh, my goodness. A person like that just must be completely numb to any sort of humanity or humanitarian aspects. Like, it's insane. I think they're definitely important to look at and try and understand, because there can be a lot to learn within them. As horrific as a lot of those situations are, and of course you wish that they never actually occurred. By looking at it, I think there can be a lot to learn and understand about people and why we do the things we do. Especially the ones that, on the surface at least, seem completely senseless. Like, I feel like there's gotta be more under that, more behind why it happened. But of course I'm limited in my knowledge of the psychological aspects. I forget where I saw it or if I was reading it very recently, but he was talking about how anyone committing a crime on the scale of, you know, mass murder or a spree or just something just absolutely horrific, that their names and likeness and anything about them personally just should not be put in the media, or, you know, their names mentioned, anything like that. To not glorify them in any way, because the motives are often just that, you know, to go out in a blaze of glory, to have the infamy. So if you just kind of let them sink into oblivion, you're not giving them what they want. And what's up to anyone just joining in? Welcome to the stream. Do say hello if you are so inclined. Theme of the stream is push-ups, so if you are into them, feel free to ask away. If you are quite competent in them yourself, feel free to offer any insight that you may have. Otherwise, just hang out. That's cool too. I'm sure there are. I'd be fascinated as to why that is. Guess the dominance, hierarchy perhaps, status, the appearance of maybe a strong male physically. Mentally, I don't know that they're very strong, but I guess there's a lot to that. Perhaps strong in some ways, incredibly weak in others. Now that's an interesting concept. If she ever got kidnapped by one, she'd be more excited than afraid. I'd have to, I wonder if that would be the case if it were to happen, actually happen. Maybe. I'm not saying that it wouldn't and it isn't true, but that seems like one of those be careful what you wish for situations. And then you've also got to think that if the person perpetrating the whole thing actually saw that the person was getting pleasure out of the whole process, it might actually change things drastically. Okay, yeah, there you go. That's exactly what I what I just meant. Yeah, I meant to say. You know, they're probably looking for a certain type of reaction. And then if they don't get it, they don't know how to handle it, and then just completely disarm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the fear and the pain, yeah. But for even for her to do that, to be able to do that is interesting. I mean, to be in a situation of extreme, or what you think would cause extreme stress and fear, to do that, I mean, I feel like that would require some level of training, you know, bordering on what military personnel and trainees go through, or some sort of bizarre way to relate between her and, you know, whether that's relate mentally or who knows. I think it's just, oh wow. Okay, that throws another wrench in the dynamics. Wow. So one of those situations where it actually saved her life. Her not having no grasp on reality. There was this analysis of Hannibal Lecter that what was Hannibal in Silence of the Lambs that I watched the other day. That was pretty interesting. All that stuff's pretty fascinating. There's a fair amount of that out now too, with certain dramas and TV shows and documentaries. And that show, Making a Murderer, was hugely popular at one point. Man, that is twisted. Okay, yeah, Criminal Minds. Yeah, shows like that where they look at real life occurrences and psychological profiles. I'm sure there's a lot of it out there. I mean, you tend to only hear about I guess the more infamous, the more infamous ones like Ted Bundy and Ed Gein and whatever. Well, the whole trophy aspect of it seems pretty common from what I've seen anyway, where the killers like to keep trophies and whatnot, so it doesn't seem that far-fetched. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, with the specific circumstances. Well, it could be. I mean, a lot of the time, it's a certain weakness of the killer, whether it's some sort of emotional weakness or some connection they're trying to create or maintain that usually gets them caught. So while I would think they tend to be extremely meticulous around how they commit their crimes, there's always something that that's left behind, some residual that exposes them. But then you hear of those killers or criminals that are still on the loose, have been out or not out, but they just haven't been caught for decades. So who knows? Shoulder stress. Whoops. I can't remember if we actually spoken about this or not, but there's the Iceman interviews that are on. I think they're on YouTube, but the Iceman. I think it's like Richard Kuklinski, or I know I'm pretty sure his last name is Kuklinski, but his first name I'm not 100% on. Okay, yeah, those interviews were pretty interesting to watch. No, I didn't actually watch it. I'd like to now, but it was essentially a person, and I think they were a clinical psychologist or something like that, just analyzing the character of Hannibal Lecter based on the information presented in the novel and the movie to sort of create a profile or attempt to create a profile. Oh yeah, great movie. I like Red Dragon. I read the book, I saw the movie. I've only seen Silence of the Lambs. I haven't read the book. But oddly enough, I've read Hannibal. So I don't know why I skipped that one, but... And then Hannibal Rising, I just didn't think was good. At least the film. I didn't read the book. What? No way. That's crazy. Well, I mean, that's a testament to how incredible of an actor he is. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that would be a little creepy, I guess. It was like she probably couldn't disassociate Hannibal Lecter from Anthony Hopkins. And once again, that's a testament to how amazing of an actor he is. Well, really, I suppose when you think about it, a large part of memory is to keep us safe, or to remember what could potentially cause us harm or has caused us harm. And something like that could just be so potent that, in her mind, it's like this, even though that was just a performance, it was so poignant that it's just like, I can't get it out of my head. Which, wow, that's crazy. And he's just like, man, that's the price I pay for being so good. But you got to think about Heath Ledger too. I'm sure getting so deeply engrossed in the role of the Joker messed him up tremendously. Like, there might have been things there already that he had to contend with, but from what I've read and seen, he really, really got into that role and becoming Joker. So when you have to go to those extremely dark places, you wonder if you'll ever come back the same. And I would probably say no. And that's not to say you come back worse off. I mean, I'm sure there's, you know, that you could come back a better person, but it's difficult to do so. I forget who said it, but there's the quote, "Beware of unearned knowledge." Oh, man. Oh, jeez. Well, I mean, I guess just destruction by association. It's such a, I guess to even be associated with certain things can have tremendous deleterious effects. I mean, you gotta imagine getting that call. I mean, hey, you know, we're looking for someone to play this role. You know, what do you think? And maybe they were a struggling actor or someone just looking to get some experience under their belt. And then what do they get for it? A vicious beating. And hello to anyone just joining in on the stream. Welcome. Do say hello in chat if you'd like. We are actually talking about nothing closely related to push-ups, but it's compelling nonetheless. But if you are into push-ups and that kind of stuff, that's what the theme of the stream is, so feel free to ask any questions or whatnot. Otherwise, just hang out and observe the conversation. Yeah, it's the associations created by the brain, and especially if they're reinforced. All right, you almost sort of create anchors in your mind where one thing is anchored to another. It's a tightly woven association. So you just, whenever you see it, you pretty much assume what's going to happen or what it means. But we have to do that. I mean, our brains, I think, need to do that. From an evolution standpoint, I mean, we just, you know, if you see a predator and you're the prey, you don't have much time to think, oh, okay, well, is this actually harmful? Is this going to kill me? Is this going to help me? No, you just make a snap decision and then you react to it, you act on it. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, but I guess it's when it's the same mechanics, but applied to different concepts, where it's not really our survival anymore that's in consideration, but it's still that same mechanic, but it's just being applied to things now that are completely different in whether necessary or unnecessary. It's, I don't know. So did you ever figure out how much protein females require? Sedentary females? Okay. Doesn't seem like much, but then again, see, for a 120-pound female, that's 45.6 grams. I guess that seems fairly reasonable, especially for sedentary. I think it was you and I that we were talking about the world pull-up record. I'm actually reading a book of the guy who, I think he still has the record, but 4,023, I think, pull-ups in 24 hours. David Goggins. I'm just about finished his book. But he goes over that whole process of, I mean, it took him 3 times to actually achieve the record, but just absolutely grueling. Oh, I don't know, it looks like it was overtaken. 4,321 pull-ups in 24 hours. Wow. Favorite superhero? I mean, I guess clearly I haven't thought about it too much. If I did, I wouldn't exactly know why at the moment. I mean, I've always loved Batman, but you're kind of like, well, who doesn't? Um, Gambit has always been my favorite X-Man. I guess I'd have to go with that at the moment, but that's just based on, I guess, mostly the past. I haven't really been too into comics and superheroes as of late, but I mean, Wolverine's pretty cool. Oh man, I wouldn't even know the universes that well. Marvel, I'd know Marvel better. Apocalypse, probably, for villain. And then let's see. Yeah, I mean, hero, I guess. I always like Professor X. But again, my knowledge of the universe is pretty limited. And DC, yeah, I don't know DC that well. I'd have to look up. How about yourself? Yeah, I mean, Batman and Joker are just amazing. I did feel like a bit of a sellout, if I were to just say those. I'm not, sellout's not a good way to put it, but I guess like you've said it, basic hoe. Taskmaster. I have heard the name. I don't know who or what. Let's see. Taskmaster. What a name. Most notably as a mercenary hired as a training instructor by various criminal organizations. Wow. Works as a combat instructor and trains others to become lackeys for other villains. That is interesting. Well, I guess you don't really need to have any sort of super extraordinary ability to be classified as a superhero. I always thought Morph was pretty cool. Toad as a villain. Of course, there's Gambit, which I mentioned. I always liked Gambit. I had a bunch of Gambit comics. Ooh, interesting. Why can't he fight Deadpool? Is Deadpool too good for him?
And unlimited skips, all at an unbelievable price. For a short time, it's only 99 cents to join premium for 3 months. Now, when you're listening
Oh, you didn't like the movies? Well, I've only seen the first one. I think there's another one. I don't know if it's out or not, but I thought it was hilarious.
And hop and jump. No one will judge. Tap the banner.
But I could see that being a point of contention for, you know, maybe people that want it approached in a serious way. Taskmaster. That's fantastic. Yeah, so in order for him to use his ability to its maximum, there has to be some sort of underlying logic or progression. That's pretty interesting. Good old Taskmaster. Oh, that would definitely take away from the experience. I could see him being hit and miss for people. I mean, I've always liked him, but not to like an extraordinarily high level. Like, I think he's fine. The movie Waiting, which of course he's in, I've always loved. It's one of my favorite movies. And then I saw him in Van Wilder. So early on, he was associated with more, I guess, goofy comedies for me. But outside of that, I think maybe he worked well in Deadpool because there was that sort of humorous side to the whole thing. I never saw Blade, or I guess I don't know which Blade he was in. I don't think he was in the first one. Blade 2 or 3 maybe. So I don't know how he did in that. Green Lantern, I think he played in. I never saw that either, but I don't know that it was good or not. So, but he seems to be doing pretty well for himself. But Dwayne Johnson he's the new rock star action hero. Oh, no way, that's pretty cool, actually. I wouldn't mind reading more on that. Oh, hey, good for him, man. I mean, the movies were, again, I can only speak for the first one, but it did extremely well. Yeah, they're probably just, yeah, exactly. They were, I guess, tunnel vision into appealing to a younger audience. Well, yeah, superheroes appeal to everyone. I mean, because superheroes are sort of, they follow the most ancient of stories, really. I mean, you have the hero, the whole hero story, the whole hero myth arc, the villain becoming our better selves, learning to overcome, all that kind of stuff. So I think believing that superheroes only appeal to children is just naive to a high degree. Oh wow, good for Ryan Reynolds. That's pretty awesome. In all honesty, my respect for him has gone up a little more because of that. That's pretty cool. Not that it was low or anything. Like I said, I do like him as an actor. But he never, you know, blew my hair back or anything. Or I never thought he was absolutely incredible. But in Deadpool, I thought the movie was pretty awesome and a lot of fun. And yes, I realized I just said blew my hair back, even though I don't have hair. But I guess pardon the expression. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah, I heard it, not as soon as I said it, but within 10 to 15 seconds of saying it. I guess I was channeling my inner Good Will Hunting, which is where I first heard that line. Yeah, man, do your thing. Do your thing. If you want to switch it over to them, that's totally cool, man. I understand. I'm appreciative of you stopping by and hanging out. But feel free. Yeah, no worries. Those interesting titles. I hear you. Yeah, no, it's all good. Ah, and I forgot to mention the word of the stream, encomium, which means a speech or piece of writing that praises someone or something highly. Can't forget the word of the stream. And then, of course, the new quote as well. Unfortunately, don't have anyone specific to attribute that to, but that is all I could find. Russian proverb. Dwell in the past and you lose an eye. Forget the past and you lose both eyes. Pretty awesome quote. And the word, I initially encountered it in the book that you see up there, The Origins of Totalitarianism. This book, oh, it's a fantastic quote, but this book has been a gold mine for new words. Cool. I mean, I am a third of the, I don't have a book here. It's in my room, but I'm not even a third of the way through. And where's the vocabulary list? I've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different words, which is sweet. And yes, I am a big nerd. I shall return in just a moment. That's what I should be doing. That is what I should be doing. Welcome back. Was the title as interesting as you had hoped? Ah, yes. From a, well, it's actually a subject I know quite a bit about, but from a historical and cultural perspective, not so much from a like a, place of, or a position of worship or anything like that. The Bible is in fact the most important book of the, really of all time as far as Western civilization is concerned. As far as shaping Western civilization. Front and back levers. Ugh. I get stressed even just thinking of practicing those. Where am I at? I'd probably say vertical. Probably see the vertical variations of both. I'm just, I was writing notes on push-ups. Just kind of stuff that I keep, just to keep myself on top of the subject, like, for example, beginners, kneeling and incline variations can be interchanged. Kneeling is a great way to orient yourself with proper technique and hand positioning. A decline can be introduced to early kneeling variations to increase difficulty. With the push-up, alignment should be emphasized as increased load will be introduced to the waist. This is where incline push-ups can be a tremendous help. The mitigated difficulty can help shift focus to proper alignment. Things like that I just want to take note of. That way I can stay on top of things. But now I've just switched briefly over to, I keep notes of my progression overview. So I take each segment, kind of push-ups, pull-ups, handstand push-ups, horizontal pull-ups, dips, squats, human flag, front and back lever, and then I just establish or understand where I'm at in the progression chain. That way I just have a good grasp of where I'm at, what I need to do, what my goals are. But I was just looking at front and back levers, and I'm like, oh, those are so hard. But I'm pretty inconsistent with how I train them, so I have no one to blame but myself. But that's okay. And we always have to make sacrifices. Something's gotta give. Oh, I'm just looking at the one-arm push-up variations. As you get more and more advanced, it just progress feels so much harder to achieve. And it comes in much smaller increments. But that's okay. Leg raise. All right, push-ups, we are at, let's see, I guess lever and tripod one arm. I have not. I didn't even know, well, I shouldn't say I didn't even know you could eat an iguana. Of course you can, but I guess a better way to say it is that I've never even thought about eating iguana. Have you? And if so, was it palatable? Was it excellent? Was it awful? Okay. I can't say that I have been too adventurous as far as food goes. Honestly, I can't really think of anything that would even be considered mildly exotic. Yeah, so it would probably taste like nothing to me. Because I like, all I really crave now is fat and salt. So I need it. I want the opposite. I want fatty and fatty meats, essentially. Like chicken, I don't eat a lot anymore. Really, the only way I do eat it is just chicken shawarma. No, it's pretty similar to, you know, other civilized societies. But those are, I think bear and moose would, maybe not bear so much, but I think moose would be also very lean. So eating anything, any meats that are low in fat, it's just not that great for me. Like if I were to get lean ground beef or something, I'll throw lard into it or some sort of fat source, butter, just to add fat to it. Or if I would eat chicken, it would be thigh as opposed to breast, or if it was breast, I would put butter on the breast. Maple syrup, I actually haven't had in, geez, I can't even tell you how long. It's gotta be 5+ years, maybe even more. I mean, now that I think about it, I really haven't eaten anything, like I was saying before, anything even mildly out of the ordinary when it comes to food. I mean, not even any of the more unusual seafoods, like swordfish, or I think I've had lobster once in my life. Eel. Have I had eel? I think I've had eel once. Yeah, no, that's pretty much it for me. Outside of that, it's mostly just things that would be considered normal. Domesticated vegetables and fruit. That's about it. Yeah, like I think you can get that kind of stuff at, you know, sushi restaurants and but I've always approached I'm maybe not always, but majority of the time I've approached food more as a fuel source, I guess. Like I do get pleasure from eating, but I didn't really create that sort of I guess mindset where it was a production, you know, with had the food and then you match it with wine and then you had appetizers and then after the main course you have dessert and things like that. And for me, it was more just eating to be more of an athlete, to support an athletic lifestyle. Eating maggots. Yipes. Were you on Fear Factor or something? Yeah, me too. And I think my way of eating now epitomizes that. And I'm totally fine with that. Okay, I guess anything fried would make it more palatable, I suppose. Fried maggots on sticks. There you go. Well played, good sir. trying to think if I've had caviar. Because what's caviar? Snails or something? Caviar. No, it's not snails. That's the other, that's, oh, I'm all over the place. Roe of the fish eggs, okay. Roe or hard roe is the fully ripe internal egg masses in the ovaries or the released external egg masses of fish and certain marine animals, okay. Escargot, that's it. Thank you, that's what I was. That I definitely haven't had. Caviar I have had. I mean, I'm open to trying new things, but I guess I don't put myself in scenarios to try new things very often. Yeah, a friend of mine, this was a while back, but he was into just kind of fine dining and wines and stuff like that, and he took myself and another friend of ours out just for, you know, a night out in the city and just hang out, go have some drinks, that kind of thing. And it was then that I tried caviar, and from what I remember, it was good. I don't know what kind of the two that you've mentioned it was, but. And then I was also, I guess foie gras I've tried, that's a duck, I believe, duck liver. It was an expensive evening. I don't remember seeing the caviar specifically. He did most of the ordering, and then we'd all just chip in on the one bill at the end, but... Oh, okay, well this was black caviar. If it's as simple as identifying the color, then yeah, no, I remember that it was black. Oh, okay. Yeah, as I mentioned, it was an expensive evening. And there are these cocktails that are like $25 per, and I'm thinking, all right, this is a little more than I'm used to and really desire, but at the same time, the experience is nice and trying new things and oh yeah, they were, you know, again, it was fun. It was something out of the ordinary. It's not like they paid for everything. That's for sure. It was split amongst us, but as far as exactly, no, you're right. As far as dictating the events, that was mostly up to them. No, definitely not, and that's the value of it, right? It's priceless. Good company, new experiences, you have a good time. Just not something that I would do every weekend, let's say. But you know, if you did it every weekend, then that would rob, I guess, the uniqueness or the fun of it, the novelty. It would take away. Most definitely, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. It would dampen the bank account. I am not able, I'm not able to sustain a lifestyle like that, nor would I want to, honestly. I'm a pretty simple guy when it comes to those kinds of things.
Premium gives you uninterrupted music and unlimited skips.
I'm mostly about strong mind, strong body.
It's only 99 cents to join Premium for 3 months. Now, when you're listening to your
I went through the whole spend your money on useless stuff phase, clothes and technology and toys.
And jump, no one will judge. Tap the banner to get 3 months of Premium for 99 cents.
Megan Trainor, that name sounds familiar. Let's look it up. Megan Trainor. Oh, okay, all about that bass. I think I know that song. So what was it looking at? Oh, okay. The song. Where are you? Let's go. So the song's called I Just Got Paid, but there's also another one called Broke But I'm Ballin'. Or are they unrelated? Oh, okay, I think, all right, never mind. I think I see the lyrics now. Broke but I'm ballin'. Okay. Sigala, Ella Ear, or Ire, and Megan Trainor. Yeah, okay. Sigala. and it's featuring Meghan Trainor. Cool. I'll check it out. You know me, I'm all about the new music. Yeah, looks like it. The main artist is Sigala, Sigala, or Sigala, or not exactly sure how to pronounce it. Oh, Marvin Gaye, Charlie Puth or Puth. Oh yeah, I wouldn't expect you to know her personally. Oh, okay, there it is. Off of 9-Track Mind. Cool, I'll check that one out as well. I've been pretty heavily into the progressive metal and metal side of things as of late, so a brief sojourn into other genres is not a bad thing. Ah, the charts. Not something I've listened to in many, many years. Or the radio. I can't even remember the last time I listened to the radio. At least where I had control of the source of music. Of course, you run into it at, at parties or at stores or, where you're not in control of the music. But I get most of it in the car while I'm driving, so I subscribe to Apple Music and just load up whatever music I'm looking to enjoy. You know what, man, it's just one of those things. Some just choose not to put that much time into music, which means you get the music that's on the surface. So the radio, the charted music tends to be pop music, that kind of thing, and and that's fine, whatever. It's like many different things. If you're not going to invest time into actually exploring it, you're probably just going to get what's on the surface, and that includes music. That's why I never really got music elitists, people that look down on others for liking certain types of music or, whatever they deem the plebs listen to. Cool. It just, most of the time those people just aren't, they don't care as much. They don't have as much of an interest. welcome back. Well, hey, then you've done all that needs to be done. I finally slept in a little bit today. I slept till 7, which was nice. What about any studying for your fitness stuff? Yeah, it felt good. It felt good. It was much needed. But I can't really sleep past that anyway. Even if I were to go to bed extremely late, I would still wake up at 7, 7:30 latest. A little bit of procrastination. Oh, we've all been there. I've often wondered if there is a more effective way for me to study. Because now I still study a fair bit, but it's more the, what's the phrase I'm looking for? The voluntary search for knowledge. You know, it's not having, you know, a test or something where I need to know the information because I'm going to be evaluated on it. But back when I was in that scenario, like my studying was essentially just looking at the material, whether it was in a textbook or PowerPoint or whatever, and then just rewriting it. But it takes a lot of time. And now I wonder, and I still do it that way. And I'm thinking, like, there's gotta be a better way. I mean, maybe there isn't, and that's totally fine. But it does take a lot of time. One thing I never really tried was recording lectures and then listening to them. Yeah, it got me to where I needed to be, so there is that. I'm grateful. There you go. It's just it's tried and true. And like I said, it got me to the end point, so. But there's got to be ways. I mean, people learn in different ways. And I think it's so important to figure that out for yourself. How do I learn best? Visual, diagrams, pictures, whatever. Do you have anything coming up that you need to be prepared for? Or is there a lull in the action? Horizontal bar dip, muscle up. All right, Truncheon, my friend, I think that'll be it for me today. Once again, I do appreciate you hanging out and joining in the chats. It's always a pleasure. If you are still around, take it easy, stay classy, and go enjoy some iguana. Anyway, take it easy, man. I hope you stay well, and I'll catch you next time, all right?